Jennifer Mata McMahon. You can call me Dr. Mata. I will be your instructor for this course, and I wanted to introduce myself to make it a little more personal since it's going to be online. The first thing I wanted to share with you is where I'm from. I'm originally from Caracas, Venezuela. I was born in Venezuela and lived in Venezuela for most of my life. I did move to California when I was about 3.5, 4 years old and lived there for 4 years. We lived in Davis, California, up north. My parents were going to graduate school at UC Davis, and once their degrees were over, we went back to Venezuela and lived in the country of Venezuela, in the countryside, for about 3.5 years, and then we moved back to Caracas, where I lived the rest of my sort of adolescence, young adult life. I then moved to New York for graduate studies, and I went to Columbia University Teachers College in Manhattan and lived there for 3 years. I moved back to Venezuela to work at Universidad Metropolitana, which is my alma mater for my undergraduate degree, and I worked there, which was very interesting because I got to work side by side with some of my former professors from undergrad and worked there for about 4 years. At that point, I decided to go back to Columbia to Teachers College to get my doctoral degree, and lived in New York for about 6 years, 5.5 to 6 years. Once I was finished with my doctoral degree, I moved to Chicago for a position, a tenure track assistant professor position at DePaul University in Chicago, and ended up living in Chicago for 8 years. I moved to Chicago not having been there before or known anybody. In Chicago, during my time there, I met my husband, Mike, and we got married in Chicago and began our little family life. We don't have any children. We had 2 dogs. One of them passed away a couple years ago, and now we just have 1 dog. So Charlie is the Cairn Terrier. He's a wheaten color, and he's the one that passed away a couple years ago. He was older, and now we only have Max that you might hear or see in some of the videos and some of the lectures that I post online for this course. We moved to Baltimore a few years ago for a position at UMBC, and now I work at the Department of Education in the program of Early Childhood Education as an associate professor. And I am thrilled to be your instructor for this course. My native language is Spanish, and as I said, I moved to California when I was around 4 years old, and that's when I learned English. I remember being pulled out for ESL classes. We were taught by an ESL teacher English to sort of catch us up to how all the other children were, the native English speakers were. And that's where I learned English. I wanted to also share with you, aside from sort of my background, my academic background has all been in early childhood education. So my undergraduate degree was in early childhood education. I received my bachelor's in Caracas, Venezuela, and Universidad Metropolitana, where I went for undergraduate studies. And there, at the 3-year mark, it's a 5-year program, and at the 3-year mark, you are granted a diploma, sort of like a technical level, and you're able to work as a teacher. And that diploma was of early childhood education, and my bachelor's diploma is on educational leadership and administration, and sort of how do you set up and run an educational site or a school. And from there, my MA and my MED are from Teachers College, and they're both in curriculum and learning, and mainly with a focus on early childhood education, as well as an emphasis in bilingual, bicultural education, which is why I, in the past, have taught a lot of courses that have to do with methods and materials that are used to work with English language learners, or a language development from an English language learner perspective. And I've supervised internships in dual language programs with students that were going to get the certification of, or the endorsement of, working with English language learners. That was in Illinois. Here, the language development course that I teach is also sort of geared towards linguistically diverse populations, and we focus a little bit on native English speakers development fluency, but also language development fluency, but also look at what a diverse linguistic student would go through in terms of maybe not being a native English speaker and coming into a native English speaking environment. And we talk a little bit about dual language programs and such, and how those are supported, and what do we have here in Baltimore and in Maryland to support that in education. See, on a more personal level, in terms of hobbies, I enjoy doing yoga. I enjoy photography. I like filming videos. I have a couple of YouTube channels. One is a personal one that I talk about personal nonsense, and then the other one is a more professional one in which you'll find videos that have to do with how to write educational objectives, or what is an educational model, or how do we assess in early childhood education, and how do we promote, say, spirituality in a secular environment or a secular classroom. Those are kind of the videos that you would find there, and I think that will be interesting to check them out. If you'd like, I'll leave a link to that professional channel here. I like writing. I write a lot for work, but I like writing for journaling and for sort of organizing my thoughts. Writing has always been a channel that has helped me figure things out and organize my mind. I love reading. You can't see it from this angle, but I'm in my home office right now, and I'm surrounded by bookshelves that are filled with books. And in my office at UMBC, when we're able to see each other again and meet in my office, you'll see that I have a ton of books there, most of which I've read. And I can't encourage enough for you to foster your love of learning, because that is something that is going to open doors that would be unimaginable to you, or inaccessible otherwise, and that through books you really can feel that you're there, and that's something that is going to be very important for us to teach the children that we're working with, as a teacher, as an educator, in that capacity, and teaching them the love for learning. And I think that if we nurture it in ourselves, it's much easier to nurture it in the children that we work with. My areas of research interest have to do with dual language and bilingual education, but mainly have to do with children's spirituality. And in other courses, in the seminar course that I teach here at UMBC, I have a focus on children's spirituality, and I have a project assignment on that course that is going to help us understand, or better understand, how to facilitate that for children and sort of unpack those layers for ourselves as well. And that is one of my, that's been my research interest for many years, I would say over a decade now, going on like 15 years or more. I've been interested in that topic and researching and publishing in that area, in that line of inquiry. and that's where my heart is. Anywhere where children are, that tends to be where my heart is. That's why I got into early childhood education, because I wanted to work with and for children, and that is still true today. My educational philosophy stems from a preparation in constructivism. So I was trained as a constructivist teacher, more constructivist than social constructivist, but then it kind of morphed into social constructivism, and very much trained under understanding the child from a Piagetian perspective, and that then seems to seep into the way I teach adults as well. So from a constructivist point of view, I like my students to discover and construct knowledge for themselves. So I provide materials and videos and readings that are going to help amplify your knowledge repertoire, but it's up to you to make the connections and make the discoveries. And I think that's one of the benefits of learning, is that you can take it as far and as deep and make it as meaningful as you desire, and it's up to you as a learner to do that. And from a teacher's perspective, from an instructor, from a professor's perspective, I feel like my role is to provide the resources and the fertile ground so that you can plant the seeds of your knowledge and water it and see it grow and make it your own. And that's what we're going to do in this course. Hopefully I will guide you through the way and be a mediator for you, using Vygotsky's words, be a mediator for you in your knowledge acquisition process for this course. And I am very much looking forward to engaging with you in this online learning journey that we are embarking in from now forward. So thank you very much for being here, for watching this. Check out the resources, and I will see you online very soon. Bye.